Hey everybody, welcome to Here Said. I am Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
I'm Paul was typing. It's going well, my brother. We're back again with another one of our entertainment news chat type shows, except this time we're going to kind of hang it around the Oscars because there's a lot of chat around that. Paul, if any other big news stories, Oscars adjacent or not, come up, feel free to throw them in. I think this is a bit of a loose one. But before we start, I want to ask: did you watch the Oscars?
Did I watch the Oscars?
Yeah, and I
Not
don't mean
really.
live because I know time zone for us was going to be impossible, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't get the chance to. It was kind of, I guess it wasn't on my radar that much, so it just didn't kind of make it onto my list.
And most other years, it kind of would have previously.
Yeah, like Monday because it was on the Sunday night, so Monday evening would have been watching the recorded full version of it.
Yeah,
So I would try to sometimes if there was like a couple of movies or a couple of actors that I'd be really kind of interested in and stuff. I'd probably have stayed up a little bit, like watch the whole thing, kind of thing. So sometimes I do it live, sometimes I'll watch the next day, kind of record. This time missed it completely. Didn't like I watched some of the highlights, but nothing much.
you weren't that upset that you missed it. I because it's me. I did watch the highlights again. Funny, my TV service, because I actually watched it on like on my cable box, so to speak. It rebooted itself three quarters of the way towards the end, and I had done the whole pause live TV thing so that I could fast forward through the advertisements.
Yeah, yeah.
So I lost my pausing. So I lost about 15 to 20 minutes of the Oscars, which apparently
Oh,
was the karaoke bit where people were dancing and singing, and it was quite cringe. Others tell me. So it sounds like I didn't miss too
yeah.
much.
Like that's yeah. I guess I'll probably now that we're doing it, like I've been like reading up on it and kind of seen some of the highlights and, as I said,
Yeah.
more. But I probably go back and watch a little bit more of it now. Just as I've been looking into the stories and stuff like that, there seems to be more interesting stuff. So
Well,
not interesting, newsworthy.
yeah.
Like hear us out, newsworthy.
Yay. Well, before you get too polished in your branding there, uh, the simple stuff with the Oscars this year, everybody, all the big headlines are the ratings are down, the ratings are down, the ratings are down. In all fairness, the ratings are down for just about every award show. It's a weird thing. It's happening at a different time of year. And before anybody thinks it, I'm not going to be defending or apologizing for the Oscars. I'm not a massive Academy Awards fan. I do have a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about the people who are really pro it and really against it because I think they're both wrong. I think the Oscars and the Academy Awards exist somewhere in between, as is usually the case.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So one of the things that a lot of people called out, one of the basics, was oh gosh, look, it was held in a train station or whatever. The change of venue. Oh, it didn't really
Hmm.
work for them, and Steven Soderbergh directing it didn't really work. I don't think anybody should be too critical during what is still the darkest timeline, the unnamed virus that we cannot talk about because it won't help our SEO. We're all living it, so we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the
Um,
darkest timeline.
yeah, I thought the venue looked fine, considering what we're living in. It is what it is. Yeah, it wouldn't have been what I would have chosen to go for as far as some of the more gimmicky kind of the walk in and all the rest. But hey, choose your artistic direction and go for it. I say.
Yeah, it was like the venue was Union Station,
Hmm.
wasn't it? So like, yeah, it was the biggest space kind of probably adhere to them so that they could do some kind of you know,
It's a
um,
beautiful building too. Don't get me
it's
wrong.
it's
Love the
it's
Dolby Theatre. Actually, I have even loaded up a few images to keep it less boring. Sorry, I'll throw up the.
that's the thing. It's got you know, like it's crazy. That's it was yeah, it's just one of those things. They got to change and stuff like that. It's part of the show. It's part of shows and stuff like that. And the hosts also change, or presenters as they're now being called, not hosts.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
because
because every
it's not
year
too.
there's always an Oscar controversy, and it was what 3 years ago for the Kevin Hart one. I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
like and that was the one where they're just like, yeah, okay, well, we don't have to do any. This is not to host anymore. We'll just do the presenters, and then that's it. Which I feel like it's lost something because of that, which is a pity. I do think the host brought some kind of, um, I guess. So I think some of the past, I think it was good for the industry, especially that like high end of the industry, to make fun of itself. And I think the Oscars, it's like the press, the kind of press thing in the White House where they kind of slag the presidents and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
the correspondence dinner, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's a good kind of reminder of the fact that who they're doing it for and stuff like that. And they're not the kings of the world and stuff like that. I think it's nice that the industry kind
So
of
you
has
like
that.
a
But
Golden Globes Ricky Gervais type thing where somebody's tearing the people in the high chairs down a step or two, right to their
no,
faces while they're all sitting there getting lovely dinners and little golden baubles, so they can't be too upset. You know?
yeah, well, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're also million all of, like everybody. The average income in the people in the entire room is probably like more than a small country. So they can't really complain about someone like Kevin Hart or Ricky Gervais slagging them for stupid things. It's just like, oh no, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll just sleep on the bed of money that I've made from just being here,
Yeah, and
kind of
look,
thing.
we only wind up the ones we love. That's why I'm so unbelievably mean to Paul off camera. Paul is a sign of affection. That's why I make so many jokes and give you such a hard time.
Yes,
Turned that one, didn't I? You know, here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this. Actually, I'll ask you a question at the start of this. Why do you think people watch the Oscars, or people were interested in the Oscars anyway? Because I have my kind of theories that yeah, there's three main categories, and I want you to kind of call out if you think I'm missing anything or I've overrun my bounds here. I think people kind of watch it as an entertainment show. It's once a year. It's just an event. They're not really invested in whether or not the right people won, or whether or not it's going to be politically correct, or a lot of the stuff that tends to get the headlines. A lot of people are just like, nah, it's the Oscars. It's like casual sports fans watching the Super Bowl or
Yeah.
the Monaco Grand Prix, or the Indy 500, or whatever rugby has, that is a one thing. Then I think people like seeing stars. People genuinely like seeing famous folk outside of the situation that they usually see them in, out of character, let's say. And at the end of it all, some people are genuinely watching it for the original reasons that the Oscars existed, and that's because they're an industry award show. That's all the Oscars is. It's the Academy Awards. It's an industry award show for that particular industry. And people like us tend to watch it for that reason, because we then end up talking about, it was great to see this nominated. It was a shame that didn't get nominated. Didn't they do so well? It was nice that was recognized with a win, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's probably I can't think of anyone else that would, or like what out of those three characters. I think you've nailed the demographics like perfectly. Like I think it as you said, the sports events stuff. People, the celebrity, like the royals, like the people who love seeing the royals and stuff like that.
people who
I'm
watch a
sure there's
royal
this-
wedding. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's just the celebrity kind of thing, and then people who are like in the industry or adjacent to the industry are obviously going to watch it. So like, because I think not only do we watch this because we're interested in the industry, it also because it tends to be at the start of the year, and it tries to tell you the tone of how the next one's going to go, or the next year of movies is going to go. That's what I feel like that the Oscars can do. You can do a prediction kind of thing on what the next kind of, I guess, trends of Oscar bait movies are going to be like,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So like it's like they've done this category, they've done this group of movies that like helps with so I guess this is a little bit of a cynical view on it, I guess, but they've done their kind of like, yeah, this is the minority movie about oppression in America and how difficult it is to kind of strive for your family, and so we'll move on to that, to like how difficult it is to be like one of the parts of the LGBT plus crew, kind of thing, and it's just like it's no. I guess that's a really awful way to look at it sometimes, and kind of like the trends of zombies and vampires and werewolves. What is the social justice movies like? And I have no problem with that. I really do think that they're talking pieces
Yeah,
in a good way. It's just that I feel like it shouldn't be categorized like it should. Like I guess it feels that way to me, but it shouldn't be.
I hear what you're saying. And look, we did an episode before on, do the Oscars even matter anymore? And one of the things that we covered. Now, to your point, before I kind of move away from it, yeah, I like that there are more movies covering those sorts of topics, which is why there are better movies covering those sorts of topics, which is why it can make it to the Oscars. But there is definitely there's no point in kind of denying that there is a certain amount of I know I hate that phrase, virtue signaling, etc. But you can definitely see a trend of where the Academy or people are focused at a particular time. You can look at that over the years. What I will say though is probably more importantly for me, when it comes to what the Oscars matter, I think it matters to the people who get them. But does it matter to the industry? Absolutely. Because if you're a young director or a young actor or whatever, and all of a sudden you've got an Oscar, you don't have to maybe fight as hard for funding for the good idea that you've had in the drawer. You've done the 5 action films that the studio wants. You win an Oscar for one of your smaller movies. All of a sudden, you can then pull out that, well, this is the one I always wanted to do if I could get funding, and all of a sudden the Academy Award bit on your in your resume or your CV helps get you out that door, or helps get you in the door to get the money.
Yeah, yeah, like that's very much just so it kind of I guess shines you as an elite kind of actor or director or something like that, and I feel that it's probably more like although it's important for the likes of Anthony Hopkins, who's been a lifetime member of like the acting troupe kind of thing. It's nice to see him getting a reward and stuff. It's like, but I guess for me it makes more for like I guess the foreign film and the director and animation, like short animation and the animation groups and stuff like that. Like, I guess best director is always one of my favorites. The best actress and actor, I get like I don't. It's very rare that I'm overly thrilled about who's going to win that. You know, like that. I don't know if that sounds bad. As in, there's
Well,
few.
you go for it. No, sorry.
Like as in, like if it's like I guess it depends on who's in it. I guess because like
I was just about to say it's all about who you're nominated with, and if the worst of that group wins, that's when you notice. But quite often it's like out of 5 people, you're kind of going, all 5 deserve it, or 4 deserve it, in your own estimation. So it's not really when one of them wins that you're like, oh, that's the worst, unless it's a really weird year, and there have been 1 or 2. I'm not saying who, because I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, like I think it's more when it's like the generic kind of A-listers groups. When like we get a year of kind of like Oscar baity kind of movies that come out like and they're just generic. They've picked a topic that's very sensitive, and like instead of doing it for the topic itself and kind of getting the word out there more, it's more just to win an award, and you can tell the difference because there's a care in them. I always feel that there's a little bit of a care in the movies and stuff like that more than there is in others. But like when it's like Brad Pitt, like Johnny Depp, or like
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
when it's
Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, and everybody
yeah,
is always there. But they deserve it, though. That's the weird thing.
it's
They're great examples of, well, the reason some of those people are so often recognized by these awards is because they are exceptional at their craft. It's the same thing with repeat director winners, particularly screenplay repeat winners, cinematographers similarly. It's impressive because I think I know one of the things you might be driving at there. It's always great when you see the new face, because then they get to become the old face if they keep doing that good work. So it's always awesome to see the next, will this person, now that they've done their great piece of work, will we see them again at the Oscars? It's always nice to see somebody, oh, you remember they won a few years ago for their first movie and it was incredible. And now look at their back and they're doing great stuff again.
Yeah, yeah, like that's the thing. As in, when it's generic people that I know has either they've been nominated before and their names are quite out there already and stuff like that, or they've won multiple times, I'm less enthralled by it.
Mm.
It's when the new face or the person who has been nominated like maybe once before and now they're like everybody's just like this is their time or something kind of thing.
Well,
I get more interested, and the best film also depends, I guess, on the kind of categories. But director, animation, and foreign film, I tend to, and also the best supporting, tend to be actually my favorite kind of ones. Like I guess because the screenwriting, foreign film, animation, and supporting are always my favorites. So
weirdly, I'm kind of into the score stuff as well because it's always interesting, oft overlooked. Can I just like dumb it down for a second? Can I just head to the gutter with this a little bit? Because being honest, why do I watch the Oscars? For all of those massively haughty and highfalutin reasons that we just talked about. But also, I love watching to see if there's going to be a good speech. I like if there's, hosts or presenters, whatever, if there's a good gag or a good interlude. I love a good speech. I love a bad speech sometimes. Like watching a bad speech is kind of like watching The Office or, a cringe show and you're like, oh, play the music, get them off. And yeah, sometimes you're just waiting for the thing to go wrong a little bit too, reading out the wrong name. And I don't mean you're waiting for it, but you kind of watch it because just about anything can happen. And there's a bit of interaction between people who are slightly out of their comfort zone. Because, not all directors are people who wanted to be actors and then became directors. There are people who were like, I don't really fancy talking to a room full of people right now. I also, and this is terrible, and I kept it, Paul. I'm winding up to an image for this because I love it. And where is it? Where did I put it? Oh,
well, while you're covering with that, I'll cover for things.
Bad Losers. Sorry,
Bad Losers.
I do love watching people waiting to see the nominee being called. I know it's such an old joke, but I do love watching an accidental funny face or a genuinely happy for somebody else face. I love playing that home game where you pick one person and you look at them when it's read out and you're like, oh, they weren't happy. They were not happy. It's really silly and it's really childish, but it's kind of stupid interactive TV fun.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's like that's the event. I would say the event kind of thing, because I would have like going to the chat parts. Yeah, like I could see that Irish Barrow was saying that like he grew up with his mom watching us and stuff. So that's kind of like the linear or kind of the event watching and stuff, and also that it helps if they're interested in the industry kind of thing. But yeah, there's those train wreck moments that you watch, I guess, as part of the events kind of thing. Like I say, if you're interested in the industry, you kind of, you come across all three genres or the three demographics that you mentioned before, and I think you watch as a part of the industry, you watch it because you're interested in it. As the events thing, you're also watching it because it is entertaining, and there's parts that you're just like, I can't wait for that. But I can't wait for the speech to go on too long. And then to be like getting the old hook and long hook to try get them out and stuff, and if that fails, then the two Bernie gentlemen who are just like get off the stage, kind of thing. Like there's always those interesting kind of moments, and it is an event show. And so yeah, I get your point.
Actually, and you know what, I can pull up a couple of people. So Daniel Kaluuya, he mentioned being there because his mother and father had sex. That was one of those moments where, because the camera was on his mother, it was like, oh, buddy, you're going to regret that later. Funny for us, I'm fairly sure she had a word later on.
Yeah.
But Young Ji-yoon from Minari, who won supporting actress, her speech was great. And I'm not saying she struggled with her English. She used the way that she speaks English as her non-first language to make it even more endearing. And I don't think it was an intentional thing. She just came across as a lovable person It was a really great speech, and it was one of those. See, that's why that's one of those times when this is why I watch the Oscars. This is a bit of humanity right there. There's somebody who's really grateful to be recognised, and took their moment to try and be themselves. It seemed, and she seemed like somebody who was just entertaining and sweet and happy about it, and had her own sense of dry wit. And for every one of those, you get Frances McDormand being kind of crazy and fun and weird. You get all sorts of people doing it in different ways. Halle Berry and people famously getting a little emotional and maybe too into themselves. So there's some people that maybe I'm not saying make a fool of themselves, but you feel like they disappear into their own jewelry a little bit.
Yeah, the ego goes a little bit wild and stuff like that. But then you get the slingshot moments where you get someone like Robin Williams or take rest in peace, but like Jim Carrey or Ricky Gervais or someone. I know that they sometimes don't they obviously don't win Oscars, but that kind of type doesn't tend to. But their speeches are kind of slingshotting back and kind of going like. Yeah, like I'm only here because my parents slapped, kind of thing. It's always nice to have those moments and stuff like that. The real moments, because when oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to blank her name.
Olivia Colman, by any chance?
Yeah,
that's who's running through my head when you were talking there. It's like he's describing Olivia Colman.
Yeah, when Olivia Colman won, it was such a sweet moment. It was such a real moment, kind of thing. Of someone who probably I remember watching her in the Mitchell and Webb look,
yeah.
And and seeing her as a comedic actress, and never when I was watching that, never in my life did I would think, oh, that person's gonna she's gonna win an Oscar in a couple in about 10 years. I never And it's not.
We talked about it when she won, that we were so happy because it was like she's one of ours, so to speak, as we were putting it, because we both had seen her in so many things just on our regular TV. And you're not thinking, well, she's going to get her chances and she's going to make all the right choices and be in the right place at the right time and be recognized for being brilliant. Or even, we didn't know she was going to be as brilliant as all that from a large theatrical point of view. So it was really cool.
That's the thing, is every kind of moment played out really well for her, and the results of that was such a heartwarming, such real speech kind of thing, which was really nice. And it's nice to see that a lot more, and it's nice to see the funny side when people start making jokes and stuff like that about themselves. And then it also it's funny to see, I guess, the train wrecks of speeches that but you're not laughing. I feel like you're not laughing at the person, that kind of thing. You're more kind of the whole thing is that these especially when it's an actor, especially when it's an actor, you never know, because they're meant to be so good at public speaking. That's what you get in your head.
That's what everybody assumes.
Yeah, and they're going to be great at public speaking. And it's if anyone the Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, how which goes Perry's kind of character gets up on stage and tries to give his girlfriend or his favorite person a reward, and he's absolutely terrible at it, and he's one of the most recognized writers and comedic people, that he's just absolutely flubbing everything and stuff. And it's a nice real moment, even if it is slightly a train wreck kind of thing.
Different skills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I take a moment to say hi to chat? Hi chat. Hi everybody in chat.
Yeah.
Great to see some regulars. Awesome to see you, actually. I want to call back to something that Irish Sparrow says. The backstories of all the nominees and the speeches were too long. Yeah, now I agree with that. And here's kind of, you're going to help me segue to the next thing. Also, I noticed you say I'd hate to be nominated next to Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah, can you imagine if you were sitting there and it's Daniel Day-Lewis, Tom Hanks, and I don't know who else has won an absolute load of them or been nominated a bunch of times. You'd feel awful.
I think the funny thing is, if you were sitting beside Tom Hanks, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Leo, Leo DiCaprio, It'd be weird to not feel nervous, to be more in the position with him than
Mm,
with the other two, you know, kind of
I know
thing.
what you mean.
Like it'd be weird to be sitting beside Leo and just being like, man, this is weird. Like,
Look, there's a huge part of me that if I was to win an Oscar and I was nominated with, all my heroes, as a lot of these, a lot of surprise winners are, they're like, it's amazing to be even nominated with these amazing people who I've looked up to. At that point, they should always follow it through with, it's amazing to be nominated with them all because they are my heroes. It's even better to beat them all. How good must I be? And just really go pyro crazy. Like, I can't believe I'm nominated with, Spielberg and Nolan and, everybody. And you're like, and to beat them, that must mean I'm awesome. This is
suck it,
brilliant.
bitches. Drop mic.
I actually, Nora's thrown in a question here. Do you think because most stars were spectators this year, it'll change the format of the Oscars in the future? That's an interesting question. Do you think the Oscars will try and go back, so to speak, when The Darkest Timeline ends?
Yes, yeah, no doubt about it in any kind of way. They will definitely be trying to, like, the second that they're able to hold the Oscars once again in a venue in which they can cram as many of the A-listers and everybody wants to see directors, writers, everybody. They'll be cramming them in, because it'll be a big drawback for the ratings and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think
Well,
they
then,
won't.
because I was gonna segue. Thanks to Irish there. The question I want to ask you, and I want to throw in my answer because I've got very strong feelings that some of already because we've talked over the years. What do you think the Oscars should do? As in, what would you do if you were put in charge of the Oscars? What would be the changes you'd bring in?
Hmm.
And do you want a second to think about it? Because I can throw out mine if you want.
I don't think it needs, like. I know people are saying that it's whitewashed and stuff like that, but I think that's an over. I think that's a bigger problem with the industry rather than the rewards kind of thing. That it is that the industry isn't churning out enough, like, more wide scaled stuff. Like, I think that's where the stem of the problem is. Like, when you get like 50 movies in a year, and, like, seven of them are like more about social injustices, or they have more minority kind of groups in them and stuff like that. Like, um of course it's like the scales are obviously going to be weighed over to the side of one thing or the other. Like, I'm really, like, one of the things that I'm really thankful for is, like, that this Oscars was very wide scaled, because, like, not enough of kind of, like, studios wanted to keep a lot of big blockbuster or big stuff that they knew probably would win the Oscars for another time, because we're in the darkest timeline. So, like, they wanted to hold off because they wanted to get the numbers and stuff like that, as well as the rewards. So,
Mm.
like, that kind of stuff.
That's
So, like, it's
yeah, and
it's in
but insofar as change though, is there something? Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. Here's my take, and it's directly related to what Irish Sparrow called out. I thought it was interesting that they went for backstories on each of the people, because as though that seemed sweet at first, to me, the back of my mind was shouting, "This is the wrong direction for the Oscars for one simple reason. The one thing I've wanted for years and years and years. I know it's an entertainment show, and I'm fine with it being, trying to pull in ratings. But first and foremost, it's an industry award show. And it's that, what's it there to celebrate? It's there to celebrate the skill and the achievement and the output of those people. I
Mhm.
miss the days, and I no one Oscars has, or Academy Awards or one award show has ever gotten it right. But the more they move towards, right now, we're playing the songs, we're performing the songs that are nominated. It's because songs are there to be performed. When we're doing the hair and makeup category, we're actually showing you. We're not just reading out or talking to somebody about it. We're going to show you. Here's the effort. Here's the genius. Here's some for the costume. Here's some notes. Here's some of the sketchbooks. Here's some of the racks that they had to try and pick from and piece together. For the cinematography section, it's like, here's, some celebrate the art, celebrate the effort, celebrate the skills. It can work for all of the categories. And if every year it's an award show to give an award to the people that the people in that industry feel did great, and they're recognizing them. That's why, like, I don't care that they're, biased or not. It's not a point system or anything like that. It shouldn't be, because it's their business, it's their stuff, and it's a group of friends giving each other awards to go, you did a great job. But their job to the rest of us, or in my opinion, the Oscars big window, it isn't a political one, as you were talking about. I'm not even going to touch the political angle, because I think you're right. That's overplayed. It's not even the entertainment angle of, is there a funny enough host? It's that this is our chance to get a load of people who don't necessarily watch movies and understand the effort and art that goes into each one of the categories that we're about to do, to explain that to them, to show them that, to, pick a scene from each of the nominated movies that highlights the skill or the art for that category, so that they can kind of educate, not in a talking down to you way, but in a, we love this so much, and we're taking this one night to show you why you should love it too.
That's where, I guess, no, like, there's no, from all our conversations and stuff like that, this is the award show. This is the one that everybody thinks about when they think of the industry, and this is where they should, definitely celebrate the art and stuff like that. And, like, we've talked about it before, where we've said that, like, the highlights shouldn't be the top end kind of, like, best picture. Like, it shouldn't be like the 5 things. There shouldn't be a highlight. The highlight, like, and if there is a highlight, it should be the celebration of the art itself rather than the awards that are going out. Like, because that's the biggest thing is, if this is a celebration of all arts within the entertainment industry, specifically the movie sections, and like, and it always feels bad when, like, the costume designers or the makeup artists or the CGI people, like, they seem to be always crammed into the middle or into the shortest segments, and you're just like I get the shorter segments for certain groups, but they still should be a celebration within that group of what they're doing. So, like, the short film stuff, it should still be, a celebration of the animation. If it's a short animation film, it should be still a celebration of animation.
Yeah.
Like, what goes into it. Like, I do think that, especially living and, engaged to an animator, the amount of work that goes into animation alone is insane.
Yeah.
And it is never not never, it's very not appreciated in a lot of parts. And, like, having the Oscars essentially show the work that animators and the animatics and storyboarding and scripting and everything like that goes into making, like, Moana or something like that, it's very important. So, like, we should have seen nothing but music and stuff like that.
There's a distance between nomination day and awards day. And I got to be honest with you, if you said, right, you're running the Oscars tomorrow, I'd be given the same impassioned speech I just gave to all of you, with maybe one difference. I'd know that there are people that are going to come back to me and go, if we show that much for every nomination, for every category, it's going to be an 18-hour show. And I'd be like, cool, how about this? We cut out a lot of the faff. You read the nominees, but the winner gets announced by showing the highlight reel that you've made to describe and illustrate the art for that. So you win, your picture wins for Best Supporting Actor. Show their, a great scene of theirs with some context and a few other things. And then it's like, well, how can we make a highlight reel from them all? You can. Okay, 4 or 5 of them aren't going to get shown live in the night. The internet exists. They'll be out there. YouTube's not going to waste them. Your website is not going to waste them. You can have these things up there. I really take it as a chance. If you're going to put on a show, don't just entertain, educate, so that you have people who love film more out of the Oscars. Because right now there is a category of people as well that watch the Oscars, or at least look up the Oscars and go, I wonder what the really good movies are that I should have watched that I'd never bother watching unless they were nominated for something. Because, I'm going to watch my Marvel movies or whatever, but these really sad films that I would usually stay away from, these are the best of them, so I'm going to watch one of those. So that's my big rant out of the way. But yeah, I think it's a real missed opportunity in some ways.
Well, like I would add even further to that. You're saying that there's a lot between nomination day and the actual Oscars. Why not make like from nomination time? So like because
That's
it's
when you
what
have
a
your
couple
time
of
to make your highlights.
but
Exactly.
not even make the highlights. Start releasing highlights of like the set, like not specific to the winners or anything like that, but start releasing stuff. Like it should be that when the Oscars releases its nominations, from then to the Oscars, it should be an absolute bedlam of celebration of the movie industry all the way up to the Oscars, like
True.
showing like because you can make this into a series of stuff, like the making of makeup artists, or CGI. Like you can do short 15-minute, half an hour segments of
Yeah.
like what it takes to make that plane crash in the spectacular way, or the aliens fighting and stuff like that with CGI and prosthetics and makeup and stuff like that. Show like the craft of like the history of acting, the history of writing, like you could definitely talk about all of those things within the time period of nomination and the night,
It's true.
and
Actually,
like
I've just realised chat's flying up past us over here, so I think we should go and say hi to chat again for a minute. Um, uh, I also don't watch award shows because they're biased. Oh, there you. That's something I hit on actually. Bias based on opinions. Yeah, they have to be. It's not a race. It's not a sport. This is just it's an industry award show. I don't think anybody's saying. I would hope that nobody's saying everything else is bad because you didn't get an award. Um, people's opinions on movies are part of why we're all here talking right now. So it's the way I see it. I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I said they shouldn't have an award show based on opinions when I'm on a on a YouTube show called Hear Us Out, voicing mine. So
yeah,
I
like
probably have to back down on that one pretty quick.
it also feels weird that if they had a category of it would feel very businessy if they had categories that are like
Most
that
profitable.
you yeah, like the best box office movie and stuff. It that seems too businessy rather than like kind of thing. That's not something like you shouldn't be striving for the best formula for the biggest movie to make money. It should be a reward, or like for making a good movie, is how much you make, kind of thing.
And it should at the end of the day be them recognizing each other. And I notice Irish has called out the Weinstein and the back in the days of the Oscar campaigns. That's all terrible. And like I'm glad you brought it up. It's not your fault, by the way. Sorry, I said that like that's your fault. No, like that's one of the things. The Oscar campaigns. That's the sort of stuff that we can all do without the fact that people were pushing, and it's still happening. We all know that there's a cynical business side to all of this. But yeah, at least that's starting to fade away a little bit to the outside eyes like me. I can't tell. Um, and Ethan, actually, hey, how you doing? You called out that Soul robbed Wolfwalkers for animated feature. Was Wolfwalkers the brown bag Irish one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
It was.
it was Brian Back. But like, I don't feel bad in that kind of way, because I watched Wolfwalkers. It was a great film. I really liked that Brian Back are doing a lot of really good kind of stuff that's worthy of being nominated in the Oscars, kind of thing. But Soul came at a time in the darkest timeline that saved me. So like, I am
You have a
not in
soft spot for
any
it.
way. I'm not in. Yeah, like I'm not in any way. Like it was like where Nintendo gave us Animal Crossing. This is the thing.
I
This
didn't
is a
know where
huge
that was
big
going to
everything.
go for a
Yeah,
second.
Nintendo gave us at the start of the darkest timeline. Nintendo gave us Animal Crossing, which a lot of people are just like, this saved me from going insane for a lot of time and stuff like that. Soul came out at a certain time that saved me, probably one of the darkest moments within this darkest timeline for myself.
So hard to be unbiased.
It's hard to be unbiased. Like I love Wolfwalker. I love Brown Bag. Like their home, that the home team.
Yeah, for
You know,
anybody
kind of
who's watching, we're in Ireland. Brown bag are Irish.
yeah,
There should be an obvious bias there from us, as would be typical. I don't think there is. Personally, I've never been one that's been shouting for brown bag just because they're Irish. They get nominated a lot for the same reason that Pixar get nominated a lot, and that's a great thing
yeah,
to be able to say for a smaller company. And I notice, Ethan, you've called out that the disparity in budget between something like Soul and something like the brown bag budgets for things like Wolfwalkers, it's huge. It's a factor of 10. But I didn't like Soul as much as you. I really enjoyed Soul, but I know there's a different percentage there. Let's say I still thought it was really good. Should it have won? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know, being objectively, but that's one of those things with any of those kind of categories. If it's somebody that wasn't bad that won, I always kind of go, yeah. Well, at least it wasn't, the one that shouldn't have been there, that was obviously cynically there for a business reason or a political reason or whatever it might be, or because Tom Hanks happened to be in it. Sorry, Tom, I'm only joking. It's always a fair nom.
Or it was nominated because of a very famous director who's got a large history in the works of stuff. I'm not looking at anyone in particular.
Well,
Martin
actually,
Scorsese.
Can we throw that out? They had to give them an Oscar for X because they hadn't got one when they should have got it for Y or A, B, and C. That's one of the old Oscar things that really, it still really bugs me. But I understand, again, inside industry awards, they're like, oh, well, they had to give him one now or give her one now before, they stopped making movies, because they should have had an Oscar before, because they've got so many amazing movies that we didn't recognize. It's like, then why didn't you? Was there something that good that year that beat them every time? So there have been some kind of participation Oscar. I don't know what the right phrase would be. Sorry, you should have got this. The belated gift Oscar. Sorry,
yeah.
Here you go. You should have got this a few years ago. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's definitely kind of the runner up Oscar kind of like reward, the pity Oscar.
Well, yeah, it's like, you've done so much good that we really should have recognized you before. You should have 3 Oscars. We didn't give you any. Here's one just in case we never get another chance. It's a little bit weird. I think Leonardo DiCaprio fit that bill a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Leo.
Yeah.
It wasn't your best film and you won the Oscar. Anyway, I would like to call out 2 things then, Paul, because I know you want to talk about it and I want to talk the in memoriam section. But just before you do, can I ask you another question? I'll give my... I should stop doing this, asking you questions live and then, tricking you and then
fun.
giving an
Go
answer.
for it.
What category?
It feels bad. It feels bad, though, because you have such, like... It's obvious that you've had a lot more time to kind of like think about the answer and stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's why
they're so well good. They're like so good, because I thought you wanted me to go to the political thing when you were like,
oh no, I always just want to hear what you think. Well, there's one that I've banged on about on the channel before, and I'll just say it. Then you can follow in. I think there is a very notable missing Oscar. I don't think that stunt work is anywhere near as recognized as it should be. After all of the years that Hollywood have been using stunt professionals in all its various guises, from coordinators to actual stunt professionals. I think that's the fact that, digital animation and special effects are being more readily acknowledged, and they're 30, 40 years old. People have been falling off horses since the first time somebody had a camera and somebody willing to fall off a horse. It's weird to me that there are some just really obvious parts of the entire industry that are so integral to how movies are made, that it's just odd it's not there. And I'm sure there are others. So can you think of any others? And I'm not. Don't say craft services, because I do love like a little table buffet. So it's not
props?
just about the food.
Does props have a category?
Not exactly. What would that kind of fall under, I guess?
Would that fall under? Because I don't want it to fall under like CGI or like makeup and special effects.
It doesn't really. I'm just looking through their list. I kept their list up just in case. Production design is there, to be fair, so that does kind of cover.
See, but that's more. Like, it's not more sets and like the authenticity. Like, I mean, like particularly like props, as in like Weta are a perfect example. The weapons from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are forged. Like, they're actually forged, and they're forged with like local like prop makers who are actually like trained in blacksmithing and stuff like that. So they're actually made weapons,
okay,
kind of thing. Like, they have the versions in which Like, yeah, so like there's a lot of work. There's also jewelers and everything like that for the props for like the One Ring. Now I know I'm using them particularly, but like um Guillermo del Toro's, like, films have also fantastic props in them and stuff like that, constantly. Um so like, yeah, I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
Like,
was just going to say that's a really interesting angle that I wouldn't have thought of, and it's really interesting. This is why I like doing the show with you. This is why I love asking you questions off the cuff. You come with the goods. That's a good one. And talk about having a good reason to back it. Like, people are forging their own, literally, smelting and
yeah.
forging weapons. That is
Well, like,
impressive.
well, like, the Decker's gun from like Blade Runner is famous, and it's
Mm,
like it's a really nice looking, like, prop. It's really like it gives a lot of characteristics towards the character and the film. It's futuristic yet old.
yeah.
It's got a wood handled, but it's a futuristic kind of cannon
Well,
kind of thing. It
it's
tells
not
a
to say that
lot.
they're not recognized at the technical awards, and there are other award shows and other whole categories of everything. But yeah, I kind of, you know what? I think there's one that we should put a call out on Twitter. Name the Oscar category that should be added, because I'd be interested to see what other people come up with too, and anybody
Yeah.
in the chat. I do want to say in the chat I saw. Think about the movie Bullet. Without the stunt drivers, that movie is nothing. I have a bad feeling, Irish, you've been watching our old videos to get a real sense of exactly who I am, because you're starting to say things exactly like I'd say them. Because, yeah, that's a brilliant example. Without the stunt drivers and without McQueen really liking cars, Bullet isn't exactly a great film. You took that away. Yeah, makes for a
Um,
good poster, but that's about it.
to answer your question, Osiris, can they have a tie for the Oscars? They can't. So the whole Academy votes, but the chairman doesn't. A chairman only votes when there is a tie. So I think that's how it works.
I
Yeah, I
think you're
think,
right. Yeah, from
yeah, the
from memory.
chairman doesn't vote unless there's a tie. So that's the kind of.
I wonder how often that's happened. Actually, that's.
I don't think it happens a lot. Like, I don't think it really happens that
I
often.
wonder if they even say.
Who is the chairman of the Academy? I have a feeling it's Tom Hanks for some strange reason. I don't know why. Is he just
it's
the
it's
father of everything? And every time you're just like, you know, I don't know.
the Oscar category that should be added is best film starring a disabled actor. Well, this is where the Oscars, and Paul's point earlier on of the Oscars can only reflect what's made, and I think that's a really good point. That if the Oscars are going to highlight things and be used to show the absence of things that are needed, that representation that's needed to be there, that would be a really nice one to write in for them, so that it would be a message to the industry that maybe they need to start looking at that. Because obviously there's missing representation in all corners, and it's an industry problem. It's also a society problem. It's what people will and will not watch and support. Um, Personally, I'd like to see studios give this new world of Netflix and streaming that we're all hooked to now. It would have been a great time for them to push stuff through. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one, and I think it calls into sharp focus that the Oscars wouldn't probably be able to fill their nomination book with 12 nominees to whittle it down to 5, just because the industry's not great at supporting that. So that's an interesting one.
Like, yeah, I know this. It's okay. So this is going to sound bad at the start.
Okay.
Um, I don't think that there should be a best film starring the disabled
I
actor.
don't think there can be right now. I don't think there should be right now, but as
I
far as a message to the
think,
industry.
yeah, like, I think that it shouldn't be its own specific. I think,
Oh, I'd agree
though,
with that.
I think the normalization of it. It's the same thing as I have with some of the other ones, which is like, like, I know you were saying most of the kind of like that the social norms and stuff like that shouldn't be just, you know a topic piece each year. It should be just the norms of having a piece. And I would agree that we should have more representation, as you were
Yeah.
saying. So
The industry has to do it, and then it's not best disabled actor, it's best actor. But there'll be
yeah,
enough movies to choose from that. It's the same thing as Chloe Zhao. who I have a picture of. Chloe Zhao won, and people are very happy because she's considered, the first woman of color. It was Hurt Locker was what, 2009, 2010. Catherine Bigelow was the first female director to win. Um, you know, some people go, "Oh, it doesn't matter. She's a man or woman or whatever." Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm not for equality of outcome necessarily. I don't think there should be everybody needs to get an award or everybody should be represented by having an award given to them. But I would really, really like there to be an equality of opportunity when it comes to all that. And I think there are enough stories, particularly in this art form, there are enough stories that involve just about everybody because it really is a reflection of who we are. And we are everybody. Not everybody looks like me. I know that because I've checked. Because if I could find 7 other people that look like me, I'd make my money in a very different way and it'd be an awesome dance troupe. Imagine the octuplets. We'd be cool.
Yeah, the Patrickses.
In memoriam, Paul, or do you want to grab a comment?
I wonder if the props is put into other categories like costume design.
I think it's production. It's
I think it's rare that they would actually. I think it's like a catch-all kind of category, and they're rarely actually called out and stuff like that. Because, like, as I said, there's tons of stuff. The hoverboard, from just I can call out tons that should, the tons of props that should give you the reason that should be its own category.
You know what? How about next year? Next year, our only Oscar show will be us doing the award categories that should have existed and give awards.
That would be really good. I think that would be an amazing. Like, we should write that down. All the categories. So
I want our viewers to send us in some categories so that we can fill it in too.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Tweet at us and we'll fill out a categories list and we'll start giving awards away. We'll give you the nominations at the same time as the Oscars gives you nominations.
And I just hit a wry smile because I caught your last comment there, Irish. The way movies are going, new award for best sequel might be needed. Yeah, enough said. It's a good one. Zero Dark 30 and Skyfall tied for sound editing in 2013. Interesting.
Yeah. There was another one.
That's the year.
Oh,
thanks, man.
It's happened like 4 or 5 times that there's been actually like ties and stuff.
There you go. I'm conscious of time, and I don't want us to not give it the fair shot it needs, because that's one of the controversies around the in memoriam section. It is one of my it's one of the parts of the Oscars that I like. It's very hard to enjoy in a traditional sense that it kind of makes you sad, but also I think in life death happens. It's part of it all, and when you're part of an industry like this, that people can give you a moment to be remembered and also remind people that have maybe forgotten you, us viewers, that these people who helped bring you the stuff that you like, they did good. They're gone now. I like it. I do think that it should get more time. I think that's one of the big controversies about it. I think it should always be planned to be a decent sized section of the show.
Yeah, like if we were to do our from nomination day to the Oscars, you could, because I know that the way that they do it is they get submissions from everybody who worked in the industry, so they get a lot of submissions, and they only have a certain amount of time. I do agree that that it should be within the Oscars show itself. The timing should be increased. This is people who have touched like millions of people's lives and showing us the better ways of doing things in the industry, or not even in the industry, just giving us characters in which will live forever, in our minds, and give us hope from an entertainment kind of way and storytelling way. Like, I definitely think that they should be celebrated and given a longer section. Though I know that they do get a large amount of people submitting, and I believe that with Patrick leading the way in his ownership of the Oscars, Oscars Board of Governors, you should definitely check this out.
Oh, I'd do it.
As part of the timing between the nominations and the Oscars, the people who can't make time for in the memorial, they should be celebrated between the nomination day and the Oscars. As I said, if we're going to use that time as a celebration of the industry, then celebrate the people who have paved the way for the future in having been there and stuff. So
Yeah,
That's my
I'm with
with
you.
the timing thing.
I think it's a great idea when it was introduced like 25 years ago or whatever. For me, it's a nice idea. Some people are like, it shouldn't be there at all because you'll never be able to do anybody service and you're just getting, profiting entertainment off somebody else's passing. It's not the way I feel about it. I respect your view if it's how you do feel about it, and I'm sure there are probably quite personal reasons for some people that they would feel that way. I can understand frustration when people go, it was too short, it's disrespectful, it's so short, or they ran too fast. But on the other side, the fact that they do it at all, even when they don't do it the way I'd like, I'm still down with them doing it. I'm okay with it. And I'm not going to give anybody, Steven Soderbergh or anybody else on any of the years, any kind of hassle over pulling off what is a very tricky section to do well with a limited amount of time. So
Yeah, like
I don't think you can get it right. I think you'll always get it wrong.
that's the ticket. I think you aim for
best.
not a comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the best you can aim for in
Yeah.
that particular. I also feel when people say that it's a moment for profiting on the passing of people, I believe that that's the only moment that isn't. I believe I believe that is an homage to the industry that they should expand on, and I don't mean that they should expand on the in memorial, but they should expand on celebrating the industry as we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's the one moment that you're just like, they're not being entertainment. This is celebrating the industry parts of people who were in part of it, who are long term members, who brought us so much and stuff. This year, this is the problem. Like, they missed out a couple of people that definitely deserve to be there, and they formatted the reward show in such a weird way that it felt like they were doing something and then they didn't, kind of thing. And I think this is the Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, they were expecting Chadwick to win almost, and I think they thought that's how they were going to end on that kind of poignant moment of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, because they were going to do
usually it's best picture last, but they did.
Yeah, they did the best actor, and everybody kind of chose the way that this was going to be a nice way of closing the Oscars off, kind of thing. Especially since he wasn't featured in the in memorial section.
Chadwick Boseman he was. He wasn't. Yeah, I think some people feel he wasn't featured enough, or
that was the thing. As in, the homage to him wasn't a bigger part to it and stuff.
Oh, look, I'll be honest with you. It's a hiding to nothing, as we say around here. You're never going to win, but aim to do as good a job as you can, and that's as good as that gets.
Yeah, as I said, I think you aim for no comment about people should look at it and be just like, that's really nice, and that's it.
Well,
that's the best you're gonna get
at this point, Paul. I wish I'd been smart enough to queue up some of the Oscars end of speech music where they played the music, and I could have just faded it up because we're about to hit time. So on that, we're gonna have to get out of here. Our music's starting to play. What I do want to say, though, is if any of you listeners or commenters or watchers in the future want to vote for yourself as a winner, then what you should do is hit the little thumb that you can see. That means that you're great. And near it, if you really want to make sure you win, then you subscribe to find out if you've won. There's a little subscribe button. And if you want to tell your friends that they should vote for you, you just share with them and tell them to hit the little thumb and the subscribe as well. And then you'll win an Academy Award in 3033. I put it out there far enough that legally I don't think I'll be around to be caught in for that.
Is there a best musical?
Musical or comedy is in the Golden Globes, but not the Oscars, I don't think, anymore anyway. I'll have to check into that after. We've hit time, Paul, and I see one last quote. Thought Chadwick was going to win. Chadwick deserved an Oscar. Not his best performance was the only thing. Yeah, I hear you. I haven't seen The Father, so I can't speak to that. Yeah, there I was hoping for Ty, I understand. I haven't seen The Father yet either, and I'm going to have to. But I know I'm going to find it extremely difficult, having watched the trailer, and I know the subject matter. And sometimes maybe the Oscars is good in another way. It forces you to watch the difficult movie that you know you should have watched already, but you're a little bit scared.
Yeah.
So Paul,
like it it made us watch the best Oscar movies for the last like what 10 years as part of our series of
We did an Oscar tourney.
yeah, like it made us watch a lot of movies that we both haven't seen, and some of them were like great movies to watch, difficult also to get through.
Yeah.
But yeah. Give us all the sections that you really want to see in our own homemade Oscars, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah. I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
We've been Heroes Out. We'll see you next time. You're all winners to us. It's true, actually.
Bye. Best.